Good afternoon, or should I say good morning. Welcome to the second session of mobility team for Smart City Expo for today. My name is Kaan Yildizgoz. I am from UITP, International Association of Public Transport. So I will be chairing for the first part of the second session of today, which we will be discussing about how IT systems are helping cities to decrease the traffic congestion in our cities and as well to help us to reduce the traffic congestion and road accidents. So this topic is quite important to discuss here at this Congress. Why today we are facing with the big impact of digitalization to the human life, and then they are changing our behaviors, and as well it is changing how we move in our cities. It has a significant impact. There is impact for the public transport. There is impact for the city logistics. There is impact for the different modes of urban transport. I just launched my last book about the taxi transportation, and then I was analyzing the topic of ride-hailing and taxis, how the smartphone revolution and shared mobility revolution has had impact on the taxis. But today we will be more talking about how this technology is having more impact on the infrastructure in our cities, and how the digital infrastructure can help us to better manage the traffic and urban transport in our cities. So for the first part of the session, we have two very important speakers. They are coming from different backgrounds. One of them is a high-level executive from a city in Europe. Another one is coming from a worldwide consulting company. So I would like to introduce the speakers before losing time. The first speaker name is Madame Cathalijne Dortmans. She is the deputy mayor of city of Helmond, coming from the Netherlands, the country of Netherlands. The Cathalijne is the vice mayor, and she has the responsibility of youth, health, and education. And she is the chair of the board of Brainport Smart District Initiative. And she had previously held different positions with the Dutch government, and she has a master's degree in English. So I would like to invite Cathalijne for her keynote address. She will have around 15 minutes to share their experience with us coming from their city and their initiative. Then we will have around 5 minutes of Q&A to discuss more in depth with the Cathalijne. Please, Cathalijne.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. In front of you stands a very proud Vice Mayor of the city of Helmond. Helmond, situated in the Brainport area in the southern part of the Netherlands. And Helmond is a front-runner city in connected and automated driving and smart mobility solutions. On the automotive campus in Helmond, companies, research and education institutes, and governmental organizations all work together in developing and testing future mobility solutions. And therefore, we were very proud to receive the ITS Local Government Award last month in Singapore. And for this occasion, we made a small movie, which I'm very happy to show you.
We are Helmond, makers of the future. Part of the innovative top technology region Brainport Eindhoven, and the heart of smart mobility. It started 100 years ago with cars. Helmond, city of automotive. With the automotive campus as the jewel since 2009, the international automotive hotspot for businesses, education, and governments. Today it is all about smart mobility. We want to live and work in a livable city. Dozens of companies, knowledge institutions and government organizations work together in Helmond to show the mobility of tomorrow. As a living lab, it is possible to carry out tests on the street in Helmond. Car companies and mobility services come from all over the world to look and test in Helmond. For example, self-driving cars and lorries that drive one after the other, fully automated. In the city, smart traffic lights give priority to emergency services and speed advice to freight traffic. Extended green light time for pedestrians if someone is still on the pedestrian crossing. This is Helmond, makers of the future.
I hope you can all share my enthusiasm about the city of Helmond. For almost 10 years, Helmond has been offering its urban environment and roads as a living lab to test and implement new technologies and solutions, as you've just been able to see in the movie. But now we are taking the next step by fully integrating these smart mobility solutions in a new residential area, Brainport Smart District. Brainport Smart District is a living lab of technological innovations, and we are developing this district according to the principles of the quadruple helix. As a government, we cannot do this by ourselves. We need to work together with academia, industry, and future inhabitants and citizens of the city of Helmond and neighboring areas. However, we are not creating a brave new world that centers around technological innovation only. We want to improve the quality of life for the people that will live in Brainport Smart District, and we also strive for a sustainable environment. It will be a residential area for everybody, regardless of income, age, and background, with all sorts of houses and facilities. Our goal is to create a comfortable, attractive living environment. Brainport Smart District also has to be a reflection of our society, and what we will learn in this district should be scaled up in the city of Helmond, in the Netherlands, and as far as we're concerned, internationally as well. In the Brainport Smart District Living Lab, people will be living the future. The urban vision for Brainport Smart District was developed by the well-known international architecture agency UN Studio by the Dutch Ben van Berkel. And they created an urban vision that is very flexible and adaptive. For we think that we need about 10 to 15 years in order to finish the project. And the urban vision translates the high ambitions regarding climate adaptation and circularity into a framework that ensures the environmental, social, and economic sustainability. It will be an extension to the existing district of Brandenvoort that already has 4,000 houses, and you can see the district south of the railway tracks, and Brainport Smart District will be built north of the railroad tracks. Our objective is that we have a surface of 25 hectares in which 1,500 climate-neutral houses will be built. And part of the development as well will be 12 hectares of integrated business functions. And the whole district will be embedded in a green environment, which also offers space for urban farming. And finally, we will create a future-proof infrastructure that facilitates all kinds of smart mobility solutions. Here you can see an image of what the district might look like in a few years' time. In Brainport Smart District, innovations contribute to life quality of its residents. New developments will continuously find their way into this living lab. And 7 themes are at the core of the district. It's circularity, participation, mobility, social safety, health, data, and energy. And as far as mobility is concerned, the target for all transport of people and goods in the neighborhood will be zero emission. The transport system is based on principles of shared transport, suitable for every need. And this is what a hub might look like in the future. And from the hub, you can see the train station in the center, and from the hub you can go to your work or home in several ways. An autonomous electric shuttle bus provides transport between the hubs and the neighborhood via the central ring road that runs through the entire district. But of course, you can also opt for an electric bicycle, for instance. You can also have your groceries or parcels delivered at the hub. You can then easily take them onto the shuttle bus or cargo bike. And for people with limited mobility, there's an extra service that will drop you off at the door of your home. All transportation is, of course, available 24 hours a day, and the shuttle service is high frequency and therefore has little waiting time. The idea is that the residents of Brainport Smart District purchase a mobility package which enables them to use the various mobility services. And in this way, in principle, no private cars in the neighborhood itself are allowed, and there will be no parking areas as well, which makes the entire neighborhood a safe and pleasant place to cycle, walk, play, and meet other people. Even before the start of the development of Brainport Smart District, we will be testing a car-sharing concept with electrical vehicles. And this test will take place in the already existing part of Brandenvoort, as I just explained to you, south of the railway tracks. And in this way, we are able to involve residents from the very beginning and take lessons learned to the solutions that will be implemented in Brainport Smart District. And this brings me to a very important aspect of Brainport Smart District: participation and co-creation. Businesses and knowledge institutions are involved in thinking about, developing, and making decisions in the newly built district. But also citizens have been involved from the very start. As I just explained to you, there are 7 program lines, and even these program lines have also come together in co-creation and in participation with citizens and future inhabitants. Citizens are invited to participate in the decision-making process, but they're also co-responsible for the social cohesion and community when the district will have been realized. Another aspect that I'd like to talk to you about is the use of data, because also when you talk about mobility, you also come across the interesting subject of data. With smart products and services, data will contribute to the quality of life of our citizens. But we are fully aware of the ethical and privacy issues of data use. We will make sure that the residents will have full control of their own data. But what does that mean exactly? So we are planning to install an ethical committee to help us on questions and challenges like this. The principles of the use of data are a precondition in the cooperation with all institutions and commercial parties. As I explained in the beginning, as a government, we cannot do this by ourselves. We cannot create an innovative district by ourselves. So we continuously challenge startups and larger companies, but also end users, to come up with innovative ideas and solutions. All proposals will be assessed by a selection committee on feasibility, innovative strength, and practical implementation. And the next wave to submit proposals for new solutions and collaboration on any of our 7 themes will open in January 2020. And more information can be found on the website of Brainport Smart District. As you can see, this is an image of our district as well, and you can see people walking in the rain. Because, of course, Helmond is situated in the Netherlands, and it sometimes rains in the Netherlands. However, even though you can see the people walking in the rain, we aim for a bright future and a bright district for our citizens. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Cathalijne. Thank you so much. It was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And it's a very interesting case that you are implementing in your city. We see how mobility is helping you to change the city, and then how the people are living and how you use the technology on this way. So now I think we can receive some questions from the audience. So if anybody wants to ask any question, please just go to the microphone, and then please introduce yourself first, and then ask a question, please. Huh? Let me put one question, then maybe this can be an opportunity for others to think about their questions in case they have. How, you mentioned about the participation from the citizens, and then what were the tools that you used to make sure about the community engagement in your decision making and project implementation? What kind of things you have done for this, actually?
Yes. Thank you for that question. In 2017, we started a process where citizens and future inhabitants of the district were asked, what do you feel is important for the future district you want to live in? And they came up with the 7 program lines that I presented to you earlier. So they were busy for a number of days, and we asked them a lot of questions. And afterwards, after we finalized the program, we've also been in contact with citizens all the time. So we've organized various meetups and have all asked them questions like, do you prefer to have your own garden, or do you prefer to live close to a park? And all these questions gave us information and which contributed to the urban vision by Ben van Berkel. And another example, as I'd like to tell you, is that we already have a 40-plot lab where we ask 40 pioneers to build their own homes. They can live their dream, and it's not an easy process, I can assure you. It also, I'm a government official, and I've already learned a number of things about the government and our way of operating and the way that people would like us to operate. But then again, it's very important to see, and it's also interesting to see, what people can come up with themselves. So we truly believe in the participation aspect of this project.
Thank you so much, Cathalijne. Thank you so much. Any other questions from the audience? So if there is any question, then I would like to thank you for your participation. This means that you covered all the topics quite well. So let's give a round of applause for our speaker.
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you.
So now it's time for our second speaker, and our second speaker is coming from a different organization. He is Mr. Nadun Muthuku Marana. When I asked him before the session how I can pronounce your name, he said, please slowly. So then you will do. So I hope that I managed to do it, Nadun. Nadun is joining us from London. He's working for global consulting company Deloitte, and he's a transport expert and one of the founding partner of Deloitte's Motion E platform, which is a new system that harnesses the power of artificial intelligence and simulation to shape the future of transport and the customer experience. Nadun also leads cognitive and data analytics propositions and product development in technology consulting, and runs Deloitte's analytics labs, which incubate innovation and development of advanced analytics and big data solutions. So with the presentation of Nadun, we will see how a global consulting company sees the technology development and how it shaped the traffic management and urban transport in our cities. Please, Nadun, join us.
Thank you very much, Kaan. Thank you very much, Kaan. And it's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Kaan introduced me, my name is Nadun Muthuku Marana. As well as having to slowly pronounce my surname, I always say it's one of the biggest names in consulting as well. But you be the judge of that after this presentation, right? So I'm here to talk to you about intelligent transport systems and really question what is intelligent in this day and age. And given all of the complications of running transport systems, I want to challenge your thinking around what is an intelligent transport system. A lot of people use things like artificial intelligence, even some simulations to talk about intelligent systems. So, we got 2 big holes out there. I've been walking around all day yesterday looking at various systems that individual organizations are presenting. And I've been looking particularly to see solutions or systems that use artificial intelligence, but having sort of moved it, developed it, and applied it in a real life, in a real city, real transportation system. And I have to say, despite a lot of people talking about it, I can't really say I've seen a lot of people who have actually implemented it. But I'm here today to tell you guys about something that we've done, developed, implemented, and it's already delivering benefits to our clients, especially in the UK. Again, when I was at the Deloitte stand in Hall 2 yesterday, I was demonstrating this solution, and someone came to me and asked, "You guys are Deloitte, aren't you accountants?" So I had to smile and say, yes, we were accountants a long time ago, we still are, but we come a long way to be the market leaders of digital and analytics solutions. And we develop them for our clients, and we implement them, and we actually drive the realization of benefits for our clients. So the accountancy background, I would say, not only allows us to make it practical, but grounds us in reality, and everything we do is real. So let me tell you a little about what we've done. A lot of you guys here know about major issues we are having across the world in transport systems. Even some of the networks that are performing really well are still running out of capacity. So again, we come from the UK. In the UK, the punctuality of the train system is less than 75% within 10 minutes of what the timetable says that it should run to. So it's not passengers are really frustrated. And even in Germany, some of you might be here from Germany, their long-distance trains are over 6 minutes, 75% of their long-distance trains are over 6 minutes late. I know some other countries that claims perfect punctuality are still running out of capacity. So it's not, even though certain transport systems are being run really well, there are still quite a lot of challenges and requirements that we are not meeting in terms of the demands of the modern systems. A lot of our systems, again, I do work for Network Rail in the UK, one of the oldest and the most complex transport network train systems in the world. So, there's no, the systems are old. Even what used to be intelligent systems 10 years ago can't cope with the complexity of requirements that it needs now. Lots of organizations, lots of countries are trying to build and solve this problem out by putting new infrastructure. So again, across the world, you would have seen new, high-speed rail tracks being built, trying to create new lines to increase capacity. But all of these things take a lot of time. To put in a new high-speed rail system in the UK is taking about 20 years, or if not longer. Takes a lot of money, like over 85 billion pounds worth of investment going into building a new high-speed rail system. Whilst all of that is happening, there are still passengers, millions of them, who are not getting their trains running on time. So we can't wait for all of these things to be built. We need a solution now, right? There has been loads of development going on around the world, but again, a lot of that has been done in silos, and therefore it's not delivering the level of requirements or the complexity of the requirements that the public demands and the demands that's being put on transport systems. I've been working in transport for about 15 years. I've been a consultant for about 25 years, and we've been constantly trying to answer these complex problems for all that time. Yes, we have developed systems that give certain amounts of improvement, but not to the kind of extent that we expected in order to solve these problems. all systems or systems up to now are based on rules. To run a railway system, for example, you need millions of rules, right? And the system will go through each and every one of them in order to make a decision or to help making a decision. How can you maintain million-plus business rules and keep them up to date? And therefore, it's not a task that you can achieve easily, and therefore, those systems don't deliver the actual kind of benefit that customers look for or network operators look for. Again, there's a lot of people here would talk about asset management systems. There's been numerous solutions that's been developed to improve the efficiency of asset management. And on the other hand, there's been loads of systems developed for effectively managing transport networks or operations of a transport network on the day of the races. However, and then there are timetable planners who again have been given new tools to do timetable planning. But what's wrong with that picture, and why hasn't despite those improvements, why haven't they delivered the kind of exponential benefits that we've been expecting? The reason for that is those siloed developments are not combining all of the information about assets, the operations, and the planning information together in order to harness the power of that information. So we need, and most of the organizations who run transport networks are also politically and commercially separated, and therefore there's no collective incentive for the information to be brought together and also therefore to reap the benefits of it. So it needs a joint purpose where we bring everyone together in order to solve these problems. Time. Again, as old as I am, there has been time and motion analysis that's been applied onto transport systems. Mathematicians, scientists, consultants, solution providers, they're all chasing after time, and time again, it doesn't work. And you do a timetable trying to keep the trains on time, and when you actually execute it, it never keeps up with the timetable, right? So this constant approach to chasing time hasn't worked. So about 2 years ago, we wanted to come, we were fed up of not achieving the right type of outcomes and benefits, and we said, myself and my team working with our client, we said we need a new approach. If time is the enemy, how do you get around that? And this is what we've done.
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way.
Story of my life, my colleagues playing the music. If chasing time doesn't work, we took a brand new approach to try and solve that issue. What we did was to say, why won't we use time as the unifier, and we called it motion in time. And let me explain the approach that I'm talking about. So instead of chasing time, what we said was to use time as the constant unifier to move things around in motion. What does that mean? Sounds a little bit theoretical, but let me give you a practical example. All of you guys taking a train in the morning, a bus in the morning, going to work, you see the timetable on the board. Most timetable planners try and create timetables where trains come on a very regular but a constant intervals. 5 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, depending on the amount of traffic on the network. But why? Why does one train needs to come exactly 5 minutes after the next one? Why should the third one come exactly 5 minutes after the second one? Our thinking around motion in time and time being the constant, but having the flexibility to move things around in a flexible fashion, we thought was going to solve the problem. And we looked at it as a whole system. Why not send the second train 3 minutes after the first one, but the third one 7 minutes after the second? By doing that, if you can still achieve the entire network working smoothly, you get to go to work on time in the morning, and you get to go home on time in the evening. Why wouldn't we do that? So we had to change the way we think, and we came up with this concept of motion in time, but looking at it as a whole system as opposed to individual buses or people or trains trying to chase time, which we haven't achieved in the past. Now, how did we do this? Let me tell you the components that we use. We use data to engineer loads of big data to engineer and look at to create the timeline. We used AI and the smarts of AI to look at the past, learn from the past, and predict the future. But we didn't stop there. We combined simulation. Simulation technologies have come a long way. We used simulation in combination, not only to be able to simulate the real world, but in my humble opinion, the best thing about simulation, it gives you a visual tool to interact with humans, all of us, in the most effective way. Another problem with AI in the past has been AI is so technical, it's not friendly enough to interact and operate with a business person, whether it be a controller on a railway network or a control in a smart city who's looking at all the transport systems. Visualization, which is part of simulation, we think is a brilliant way and the most perfect way to bring people and technologies together. And we did it. And this is how we've done it. For the first time in UK's history, in the railway of the UK, we combine, as I mentioned before, timetable information, operational information, and asset information together to create what we call a unified data model. This is the data model that allows you to do all the fancy simulations and be able to apply AI to achieve the results that we have achieved. AI as a time travel machine. Do you ever think about AI to travel time? Our view is AI used effectively will allow you to understand the past, learn from the past, and then more importantly, predict the future. Most people try to do that, but not stop there. What we've done is to predict the future and also build in a feedback loop so that you can learn as you do stuff in the future, and if it needs improvement, to link it back into reinforced learning, and hence we call in the AI loop. And this is going in a constant cycle is the real secret of harnessing the power of AI. Simulation, as I said, is an excellent tool to bring humans and smart technologies together. By applying simulation to test timetables in the UK, we are already saving millions of delayed minutes on the network. This is not theory, it's being done now. And all of this we brought together and called it Motion E. Engineering it with data, enhancing it with AI, and delivering it with simulation. And we are supporting 3 key stakeholders who run transport networks. Number 1, controllers who on the day manage the running of the railway. Timetable planners who plan the timetables in advance. And then asset managers making sure that the railway, the track, the assets are all available in order for trains and services to be run. Let me quickly show you what we've done. This is our module for the controllers. They can see how everything moves about, trains delayed, and this is actually deployed in Leeds in the UK. I've seen some of our colleagues from the Leeds City Council here, and this is what happens. If there's an incident, our system will show the controller a new recommended way to reroute the trains. Ladies and gentlemen, this has never been done before. Using AI to make the right optimal decisions, which helps controllers to recover networks after an incident. Today, without this, a lot of controllers recover the network after an incident or the delays based on their knowledge in their heads. It works, but it can work better. And AI, used properly, is the way to do it. And we are so excited. We think this is already revolutionizing the way networks are done in the UK, but I think applied elsewhere will completely change the way we run not only rail networks or any other transportation network as well. Our second module is again using simulation to test a timetable. What happens when a timetable planner produces a timetable? There's no way to go and test it in the real world. But by using a simulator to do Monte Carlo, various different what-if scenarios, we are now able to test the robustness of a timetable and have a level of confidence before a timetable is released into the public services, and thereby avoiding major delays. Again, where I come from in the UK, last year in the summer, there were newspaper headlines around how trains were not, were failing to deliver services according to timetable. We developed this as a reaction to that, but now it allows Network Rail to test the robustness of their timetable before it's being released. Again, I think a game changer in the way you run network transport networks. Last but not least, there is the traditional asset management in running transport networks. What we've done, again for the first time, is to combine operational data which are not traditionally used in conjunction with the asset data to look at the most critical assets. If you take a network, there are numerous number of assets, but how do you know which ones are being used more, or how many more trains run on a certain piece of track as opposed to another track that's hardly being used? This allows you to not only identify the critical assets, but then be able to predict and prevent failure in order to keep the network running. Equally, you can remove the assets or the tracks that you don't use, and thereby saving millions of pounds worth of maintenance fees and costs in operating the railway. So these, ladies and gentlemen, are the three areas of the features of our Motion E solution. We believe we have solved the problem of moving things through time, and we did that by using data to do the engineering of the time. We use AI, the cleverness and the smarts of AI, to look at the past, the present, and the future, and then linking it back so that we learn from it. And then simulation, as I said before, which, as well as being able to simulate the real world, it's a brilliant tool to bring humans to work in conjunction with smart and intelligent technologies. That's what we've done. We would love for you to come and talk to us at the Deloitte stand, and happy to show you how this can be applied to your cities, your transport networks, and together to solve some of the most complex problems that's been hampering your networks in the past. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Nadun. It was an excellent presentation. sharing with us the experience of Deloitte, especially in the field of artificial intelligence with the case studies from the railway sector. It was excellent. I took note, especially for the artificial intelligence side. I guess that this was an important discussion in many sessions during this exhibition. What I know is that we recently published a paper in UITP about the different examples of artificial intelligence used in public transport. I have some examples. Maybe now the Tokyo Metro is working with the robots in stations. They deployed robots into stations, and then robots are now assisting the passengers to answer the questions and as well the carrying the luggages. Also in Singapore, now many of the bus operators, they started to work with the unmanned depots. There is no man human in the bus maintenance facilities, and as well. Recently, we were organizing a training in Dubai. What we saw now, the Dubai Taxi Corporation is using the artificial intelligence to monitor the drivers in terms of the revenue collection. So there is wide variety of implementation of AI in different fields, of course. So I want to ask now to the audience, in case they want to raise any questions. So we have gentlemen here, but please go to the microphone if possible.
While you're coming to the microphone, Kaan, can I just make a statement on what you just said?
Sure.
AI is absolutely changing the way we do things, but primarily our vision and our approach is not to replace humans with AI. I think the bigger challenge is to bring humans and AI together to see. So I'm sure there are examples of how AI can do some of the human work, but everything I've said is about the real techniques to bring the human, the knowledge worker, helped by AI and empowered by AI as well.
Excellent note. Thanks, Randun, on this one. Please.
Not working? Yeah, can you understand me? Okay, my name is Nico Graf from ITK Engineering, Germany. So you're telling the problem is the trains are delayed. And your idea is to adapt the schedule to prevent a delay. But if you don't have a schedule, there is no delay possible. So you are defining that there is no delay available. So what's new about that? I mean, having a schedule which is different running in the morning than in the afternoon, and I absolutely, maybe I understand your idea wrong, but a frequent schedule is useful and helpful for the customer so he can memorize it very easily. And if you're telling me, okay, on Monday I have another schedule than on Tuesday, I'm not sure if people will use.
I'm happy to answer. A good question. I'm not suggesting to get rid of timetable. Absolutely not. What we are proposing, not even proposing, what we've done is to a new way to create timetables and move away from the old approach that's been taken to develop timetables. Again, in many countries, more older you are, in terms of your network, longer it takes to develop a timetable because of the complexity. In the UK, it takes 2 years from the time you start planning a certain day to the day of the execution. But that's a manual process. And the rules and the principles people use, and an example I gave you was thinking that you need to have trains coming in every 5 minutes. What I'm saying is not to get rid of the timetable. I'm saying through simulation and AI, come up with the optimal timetable that looks at it as a whole system as opposed to an individual train trying really hard to chase time and to keep up with time. That doesn't work. I'm happy to be challenged. Chasing time has not worked. So therefore, we are saying look at the whole system and come up with the optimal timetable that might be different in terms of the priorities for different different objects and different times. I hopefully answer that question.
Thank you, Nadun. Please.
Morning. Thanks for a great presentation. My name is Jayesh Jagasia. I host the AI in Automotive podcast. 2 questions. Number one, everything you showed was for National Rail. I'm assuming a lot of what you've built and developed is fungible and applicable to other modes of transport.
Absolutely, yeah.
In other cities as well.
Absolutely.
So that was question number 1. Question number 2 is related to the question the gentleman asked, but actually exactly the opposite. Do you think there is a use case for very, very dynamic timetabling rather than extremely static timetables today. So if it's a 7-3 train, it's a 7-3 train every single day, whereas AI analytics may prove that Tuesday mornings when it's cold and rainy, the passenger load is 10 minutes later, and hence the timetable looks a little different. And do you think there's a use case? Do you think some of this will support?
The quick answer is you just saw it. Yes, the answer to the second question is using these systems, you can absolutely plan your network on a more dynamic and a near real-time basis. Now, just to avoid any misunderstandings, we haven't applied this in a real-time basis because in the railway, due to safety and various other stuff, you need to test it. It takes a while to make that transition, and that transition being a cultural transition in the biggest area. But if you can look at a historic day of services, and the computer or AI system can come up with a better way of running that system, that means once you've broken that logic, which we have, you can apply that on a near real-time basis into a live system. That's where we are heading, but the technology and the solution is now there. Answer your first question, yes, as long as there's a network, and as long as there are things that move, and in certain cases, when there's a timetable that is required, you can apply this solution to buses, cars, even passenger movements and planning, to any network you like. The last thing I would say is the only time when you need a dynamic sort of way of managing stuff is when there aren't any timetable. So if you take a road network, there's no timetable for you to get onto the road, right? That's where this will even become more useful in managing those.
Thank you so much, Nadun. I think it's very crucial to benefit from AI for the planning and scheduling. When sometimes I'm receiving questions in the conferences or training programs, what the public transport should do for the future to stay as competitive, I always answer this question in the way that public transport should innovate in fixed routes and fixed schedules to be competitive against the private car. So this can be possible with the help of artificial intelligence for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. If you got any more questions, come and see me at the Deloitte stand in Hall 2. Thank you so much.
Interesting two presentations we had, one from the consulting company and one from the city authority. And as a conclusion, what I can tell is that smart city is not possible without smart mobility. So this is what we saw today in these two presentations. And I would like to make one little announcement to you in case you have interest. There will be IT Trans, the Digital Public Transport Conference in March in Karlsruhe next year in 2020. In case any of you had more interest for how the digitalization is changing the public transport and taxi sector, and you can attend this event as well in 2020 in Germany. So now I would like to give a 15 minutes of break at this part of this session. This break is reserved for the networking. Then after this 15 minutes of break, we will continue with the panel session, panel part of this session. Thank you so much once again for your participation.
So good morning. Bon dia, buenos dias. Welcome to the panel on traffic management in multimodal urban mobility scenarios. My name is Jose Triano. I lead an autonomous vehicle project for a traditional public transportation operator. And I'm going to be the moderator of this panel. During the last years, people working in mobility innovation, we've been very focused in vehicle technology, in digital platforms for car sharing and other kind of transportation solutions. Very often we say that the benefits of our solutions are going to be a better use of city and road space, less traffic jams, and faster traveling. But I am convinced that the solution to these problems is going to come from traffic management, and this guy has a lot of solutions. We cannot do things alone. We need intelligent roads and intelligent streets to reach the goals that we need to reach to avoid mistakes from the past. To talk about these interesting topics, we have Gino, Eric, Thomas, and Gilles. And just a few words about the panel organization. They are going to do short presentations about their solutions. Then I'm going to address them some questions. And at the end, you will have the opportunity to address them some questions. Let's start with Gino Franco from Swarco. Gino has more than 25 years of experience in ITS. He's head of innovation at the Swarco Group with the role of coordinating the innovation and research activities with a specific focus at exploring new technologies, new business models, and partnerships that can enrich the Swarco product portfolio and businesses. Please, Gino.
Thank you, Jose, for the kind introduction. How do we start this? Hello, good afternoon. So I will focus my short presentation on the opportunities that are given by the current evolution of the traffic management, on the reduction of the congestions, and on the safer road, and as a consequence, as a contribution to the quality of our life as citizens. So let me start with a first slide, just to set up the scene. I mean, it is well known that we are in a period in which the technology has been advancing as fast as it has never done before. A lot of changes are happening in every field. I have included in this slide two small pictures showing the different attitude of the people listening at the proclamation of the Pope the last 2 times. And you see the connectivity and the use of devices are influencing their behavior. And in the mobility, we are also facing this. All the people are more and more connected. We have shared mobility. We have the micro-mobility available. And there are the cloud services and the mobility apps available. And so the multimodal travelers are using more and more regularly the navigation app before the trip for planning and during the trip for following the route to their destination. Can I ask, for instance, to all of you, how many of you have used the navigation app to reach this location today? Can you raise your hands? You see, it is the majority of the people. Actually, we know that worldwide, 3 out of 4 people are consulting the navigation app when moving. And this is a huge potential for the traffic management because it is a way to interact with, it is a way for the traffic management to interact with the travelers. It is an opportunity, but it is also a need, because a smart orchestration of the mobility also allow us to avoid what can happen in an uncoordinated situation. As it is known from some articles that unwanted traffic situations and safety hazards are happening in a residential area in some occasion. So how is the traffic management evolving? The traditional traffic management were using sensors in the road and modeling to understand the traffic situation, and then to act the control actions like the signal phasing in an adaptive way to control it. Then the standards were developed to make different systems to communicate to each other so that multimodal or intermodal application can be developed. Think at a simple one like the bus priority at the intersection. Then the cloud came, then giving the possibility to share the data, and then having the possibility to fuse data from different sources and to have a very good overview of the city. And now we have the connected vehicle, which are giving even a better possibility for monitoring, but also a huge tool to influence the behavior of the travelers and their vehicles. But sharing the data between the systems and with the cloud is actually not enough. It's a good thing, but it's not enough if we really want to achieve the system optimum, which means the balance between the individual objectives of the travelers and the collective objectives of the whole community, then distributing the traffic in the network. We need also all the actors active in the city to share and to agree on a common operational picture. This is because at the end, the ITS systems are the tool for the operation of the traffic management. And this is why we call it collaborative interactive traffic management, because through interaction, we created this ecosystem where the mobility is predictable. Predictability is a very key element, because the predictability of the travel time in the network is what we need for the quality of our life, to be able to plan our activity, but it's also a key requirement to enable the new services like the mobility as a service and later the autonomous driving. And all of this is enabled by the ITS systems. And we need an action at two levels in order to make this really to happen efficiently. At the first level, we need to create a network of trust among all the actors that are active in the cities. By actors, I mean the public authorities, the service providers, the transport telematics industry, the automotive, the suppliers, and so on. And there are important activities and task forces ongoing in this direction under the initiative of Traffic Management 2.0, which I invite all of you to get in contact with through Ertico if you are interested. The second level of action, which is very important, is the deployment of the technology platforms that can actually power the city to implement this collaborative environment. You can have a very good example of this technology platform if you come to visit the Svarko stand here in the Hall 1. There you will see the My City concept, which is a platform showing how data coming from different sources can be integrated. And by combining the analytics, the cloud services, and the roadside equipment, can achieve a multimodal efficient environment. By roadside equipment, I mean the traffic lights, the variable message signs, but even the vehicle-to-infrastructure communication, which are a very important element for implementing all of this. And what is important is that we need the right combination of three factors to implement all of this successfully. And the three factors are mastering the new technologies, both hardware and software, needs a very high and long-lasting competence on the traffic domain, and then you need to be locally present and understanding deeply the needs of the specific city, the specific needs of a city, because the traffic has very local characteristic. Each city is different and very unique. And I conclude saying that this is at hand. There are the opportunities available. We don't need to start from scratch. There are a lot of cities that already deployed large ITS system. I'm mentioning here a few coming from the Svarko portfolio, but I could mention many more that have all the elements to start evolving into the collaborative environment. And worthwhile to mention the initiative in Brainport in the Netherlands was also the topic of a previous presentation, where all this is happening, and even the city was investing in the fiber optic network to enable all this system connection. Thanks a lot, and I'm happy to answer to your questions later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's continue with CityLog. We have Eric Toffin with us. Eric has an engineering degree from the Technical University of Compiègne in France and a Master's of Science from Virginia Tech. Eric joined CityLog in 1997 and has an extensive experience in video detection systems for the transportation industry. Currently, Eric is the CEO of CityLog.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a question. Is the traffic flowing smoothly today? And I don't need the answer. I experienced it myself as everybody else this morning. It's not flowing great today. We've all experienced frustration while driving, while being a passenger. And the frustration is very linked to the presentation we had previously about the trains in the UK. It's because we want to get to work on time. It's because we want to go back to our families on time with not too much delay, and because we don't know how to anticipate the issues we feel on the road. The time we spend in congestion in different cities around the world, not as individual but collectively, can be huge. Those are just a few examples. I'm sure you can relate to that. And what we're trying to do, something very important that we discussed at the beginning of this smart city, is how do we reach the citizens? How do we make the citizens experience firsthand what we can provide with the smart city? Somebody said it's not about technology, it's about what the citizens can experience. And here I'm not going to talk about a very broad approach of the smart city. I'm going to talk about something extremely specific, which is one of the reasons why we cannot get to work on time, one of the reasons why we cannot go back home to our kids on time. And it's the challenge of unauthorized parked vehicles in our cities. They can happen with double parking, can happen with a car parked on the bicycle lane. So we built all those nice bicycle lanes thinking that we will make it safe for the bicycles, but then they have to avoid the cars that are double parked. Parking on bus lanes. What is the use of making those elaborate schedules and priority to the bus if they are blocked and they cannot go through the dedicated lanes? And so on. So what solution can we bring? One of the solutions I'm going to show you today is based on video image processing and artificial intelligence. It's the use of a camera that's monitoring the street, your regular video surveillance cameras that you're all familiar with. We put an application inside the camera that's going to automatically detect a stopped vehicle in the specific zone. It's going to be reported to the traffic control center or to the city management center. And then different set of actions are going to take place. We can send someone out on the street to remove the vehicle. We can call the towing company. We can video enforce it remotely if the legislation of the country allows it, like France, for example. Various actions that's going to aim at removing that vehicle as soon as possible from the streets to get the traffic flowing. Here's a quick example. It's been taken in the Czech Republic, in the city of Ostrava, and you can see a bus stop, and you can see a vehicle that's obviously not a bus, stopping on that bus stop. What is this going to cause? When the bus is going to come, the bus is going to double park, and it's going to create a traffic hazard. So what the application does, it's detecting the stopped vehicle and start counting how long that vehicle has been stopped. You might have a tolerance with the way you handle the enforcement, or you might enforce it right away. But the idea is to detect the nuisance as soon as possible, to be able to address it as soon as possible, and return the traffic to normal, eliminate the problem. So what is the link with artificial intelligence and deep learning? So CityLog, we're a division of Axis Communications. We've been created 20 years ago, and we've always done artificial intelligence. And we've always done machine learning. What is new in what we do in the domain of artificial intelligence is deep learning. And the reason why we've been able to do deep learning is a conjunction of factors. It's the availability of large data sets. You all recall pictures. We have pictures from surveillance cameras, and we are able to construct extremely large data sets to fuel the deep learning. It's technology, the fact that we have graphical boards, GPUs that enable the artificial intelligence. And this is what makes deep learning possible these days. But then there's deep learning, artificial intelligence, and there are applied ways to do it. So very different from what we saw from the presentation at Deloitte on the UK trains. We are trying to aim it at making available inside a video surveillance camera to make it easily deployable, cost-effective, and very simple to operate. So you have a video surveillance camera, and because it's a modern camera, you have processor inside the camera, you have memory inside the camera, you have storage inside the camera, just like your cell phone, and you can run applications on it because you have all this technology available. And when you put your application, you're going to be able to do a number of things, collect traffic statistics, run optimized traffic lights by detecting vehicles, and you're going to be able to detect unauthorized vehicles that are parked in spots that are a problem. So the benefits for the traffic enforcers are quite easily understood. It's the fact that they will be able to better handle the incidents in a much quicker way. They will be able to dispatch their resources in a much more efficient way, saving cost, and the systems will pay itself with the enforcement of the unauthorized vehicles. The impact on the traffic will be lessened, because if you detect a disturbance to traffic extremely quickly, you minimize the effects, so you will avoid the problems. And one of the side benefits of it is when you start enforcing things, you also start educating people. So the occurrence of the unauthorized parking experience shows that it will drop across time, which is what you want. You don't want to spend your time enforcing things. You prefer to educate the citizens so the problem stops. So the overall value that we bring to this is improved mobility for the citizens, making more reliable travel, and since we have less congestions, less pollutions, better quality of air. So, as we say, life's too short for traffic jam, and we can bring solutions to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Let me introduce you Thomas Frederick from Multimodal. He has 15 years experience in mobility, IT, and digitization. He has a background in modeling as a transport engineer, and he is head of partner management at Multimodal, which is a joint venture of Daimler and BMW.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to take it from a slightly different angle, not really looking precisely on the ITS system, but more on the ecosystem that we need to actually utilize a lively city. So first of all, what do cities really need? We are at the Smart City Conference, so we should always keep in mind what do cities want. They want less congestion, they want less pollution, and they want freed up space. They want livable cities, and they want to be in control of those cities. They want to be in control of mobility, and they want to offer for their citizens a really modern and good mobility options in the city. So really an ecosystem of different providers. But what does the reality look like right now? We already saw the numbers. This is just a picture of Berlin. This is the reality that we're facing. And we're not only stuck in traffic, we are the traffic. If we look at the modal split in our cities, the car is still very predominant. And we can change the technology of the car. We can introduce electric cars. This will actually lower the emission, but it will not change the congestion. We can introduce autonomous cars. This will free up space of the parked space, but if we are at maximum capacity, this will not change congestion, because the problem is the space that the cars need. And as long as we have single occupancy vehicles in a size and a weight that we currently have, we will not get a solution to congestion. So we need not only different technology, we also need different behavior. We need different options. And these options are actually coming in our cities without even asking for it. Like last summer, we really saw a wave of new bike sharers coming to all major cities. They caused a lot of problems. Cities were reacting to it. Some of the suppliers actually retreat from the market. It got a little bit better, but the problem isn't really solved. This summer, we saw all the e-scooters coming into the cities. Again, a very, very good option, but causing problems because they were fully unregulated. We had bicycle lanes, we had pedestrian passes which were blocked because these were simply flooded in by private companies. There was no regulation. Cities are now picking up the role that they have in actually regulating those. But we have to see, this is not the panacea of the mobility. We need, every mode has its means. And what we need to do is bring everything together into one entire ecosystem. And that's what we provide. We provide a platform where you can have bike sharing, car sharing, taxi, but also public transportation, because we think public transportation is the backbone of everything. And to actually enhance public transportation, we have also introduced on-demand model, which we are running, for example, in Stuttgart, as part of the public transportation scheme. And as we heard, that timetable might be a problem. This is a very flexible system where people can actually hail this shuttle and they share the ride. And that's why we get traffic off the street, because it's not single use, it's a lot of people taking the same ride. And this is fully integrated in our technology stack. So this is just another mobility service provider, just as the bike sharers, just as the scooters, within one large system that we can actually provide for the city. And the citizens, they actually get to use a navigation device, but it's a multimodal navigation device. You get all the different options in your city, but it goes way beyond a navigation device, because we give access to the different modes. We have a one-stop shop for mobility. So if you search for a trip, for example, for a bike sharing trip, you are able to access that bike, to open that bike, to ride that bike, and return that bike only by using this application. Same holds true for car sharing, and the same holds true also for public transportation. You actually get access, you get the ticket on your mobile, so you can easily choose whatever is best in this situation for you. And we do this in various ways. We provide this to various cities. We always work very closely with the city, usually with the public transport operator of the city. So for example, in Stuttgart, we're not only providing the shuttle service, we're also providing a very specific ticketing app which allows you to use public transport as well as the car to go, as well as taxi services in the city, and it also optimizes the way you use public transport. So if you use it a lot of times, we will actually have the maximum of a monthly path. But if you use less, we'll always optimize to the best ticket that we have. In Portland, we're also working with TriMet. We also introduced new ways of paying, very closely working with Apple and Google and introducing different ways of paying and also introducing card services. In Düsseldorf, we have the fullest multimodal platform that we currently have in Germany. And we also know that the majority of the mobility is actually going to work, commuting. So these are the really regular trips that we are trying to get away from single occupancy vehicles and using your private car. That's why we also introduced our mobility budget, something that we tested ourselves in our company, that we actually give a benefit to people that are using, that they're doing their daily commute to work in a different way. And you can actually access that again through one single app, and you can decide day by day whether today it's a good day for a bike ride, or today you might make a car sharing, or if you can use public transport. And that's what we provide in Europe as well as in North America. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Thomas. Gilles Alayon from Mobileye. He's Director of Intelligent Mobility Solutions Division for Europe, Middle East, and Africa at Mobileye. He has been central to developing local strategy and overseeing an expanded regional presence for Mobileye. His leadership has been instrumental to the advancement of Mobileye's data products in these regions. Please, Gilles.
It's working? Working? I don't know how many of you know who is Mobileye. We've been bought by Intel, but I don't know how much of you know what we are really doing. Mobileye is identified with safety and assist system for vehicles, autonomous vehicles, automatic emergency braking, and etc. And what are we doing here? What is our connection for GIS platform and smart cities? In order to do what I claim that we are doing, we need to, where's the clicker? Oh, sorry. We need to teach the car to see. Mobileye is an automotive company. We're a software company, and we need to teach the car to see better in order to provide and do what I said that we are doing. So in the first tier, we need to understand the scene of the road with very strong computing power, accurate in a matter of centimeters, and able to provide real-time messages such as stopping the car or navigate an autonomous vehicle, alert the driver, and etc. On top of that, as we understand all the scene of the road, we can see other elements in real time that can help city planner, traffic management, utility companies, governments, and all. Understanding the location of the lanes, understanding the location of the assets, such as traffic lights, traffic signs, dynamic information like pedestrians, cyclists, vehicles, everything we're doing, understanding in real time. This is video. This is only for you guys. But the driver do not see that, and the data that we are working with, it's not a video. Mobileye, more than 20 years of experience, been bought by Intel 2.5 years ago, working with most of the significant manufacturers and many others. More than 50 million cars are using the technology. We're talking around 70% market share of the new car that's coming to the street On top of that, we have the way to equip any existing vehicle that is not safe, an old one or large, with the same technology. So we can make every vehicle smart and safe. And most of the autonomous vehicle platform, we are leading or we are part of it. So imagine that these 50 million vehicles that are driving every day to work, UPS, DHL, buses, are collecting data, harvest data. Everything is anonymized, guys. GDPR compliance, everything is OK. Sending to the cloud, it's a lot of data. And it's constantly updated in real time. Watch this clip.
At the turn of the millennium, Mobileye reimagined auto safety by designing the first ever camera-only collision avoidance system. Now with Mobileye 8 Connect, we've expanded into a world of connectivity. This is just the beginning. Mobileye is crowdsourcing communication to vehicles like never before. By linking Mobileye 8 Connect to the cloud, we're able to aggregate data from drivers everywhere. Mobileye 8 Connect is about using our existing technology to build a crowdsourced network that will supply highly accurate, up-to-date layers of information, which we call Smart Insights. Notifying city managers of everything from faded road markings to flooded streets and potholes. These Smart Insights are vital to improving our cities. For example, they allow identification of potential traffic and collision hotspots, helping solve issues before they become crises. How do we do this? With Mobileye 8 Connect, vehicles act as intelligent agents as they travel the city streets, gathering data critical for preventative maintenance and public transportation planning. The information is anonymized to protect privacy and sent to the cloud, where Mobileye's algorithms turn it into actionable data for decision makers. Welcome to the next chapter, Mobileye 8 Connect.
So imagine over the 10,000 of kilometer in one USB. So this is very powerful, and it's important. It needs to be scalable. Before I will talk about it for a second, every sensor that Mobileye provides, if it's a retrofit system or direct from the factory on BMW, Audi, or Volkswagen, also provide for the road user safety, reduction of road accidents, prevention, mitigation, and also for the vulnerable users. So everybody is they're winning here. Also a very important impact. On top of that, we are providing asset management for infrastructure companies and also for city planner. Asset mean identified in a centimeter-wise where it is, and then if something happens, we can notify immediately. Go fix it. Management, prevent a problem with the pavement, cracks and potholes. Identify city most danger junction and hotspots and problem. Dynamic mapping. We know and we're telling and we're providing safety scores for city planning that can put it and ask for their traffic management to analyze it. We can work all together. We are reaching the systems and we can notify. And it's all in real time with the huge power of the crowdsourcing. These sensors providing this all informations. 1 second, it's stuck here. Sorry. Reduce a lot operational costs. If you have standing water or flood, you can know immediately and avoid damage. If you have a potholes or crack that's becoming potholes, notify, fix it because it's going to get worse and have a traffic jams. We are here in Barcelona. This is a live map of Barcelona. For the last few hours, I guess, when I upload the system, we can analyze the average speeds and help the city planner and the traffic management to plan better, to understand why. We know in each section why is the reason for this speed behavior, and on top of that. This is a project, a partnership that we're doing with the UK government, the national mapping companies. In the 2012 London Olympics, they had to map all the manhole and drainage for security reasons. It took them 8 months, 50 or 60 people, a few millions of pounds. We did it with 20 vehicles in less than 10 days, with insignificant cost. I can talk here for hours, but we can take it over in our stand, and we're happy to share more and to help you guys. Thank you.
Thank you all for your presentations. And let me start. We have some 8 minutes for questions, and then you can address your questions to the panelists. Gino, just to follow the order of the presentations. The interactive traffic management, what are the major difficulties or obstacles to implement this solution?
Right. I was trying to highlight this aspect during the presentation. Thanks for the question. I mean, all the elements are there. What is highly needed is this network of trust among the partners. So it's a highly collaborative environment in the cities. And for the city, a good technology partners that I was saying must have the capability of combining different capabilities. So high technology, competence in the traffic domain, and understanding of the local needs. So this is the real key, because in this scenario of global players, etc., sometimes the city authorities are a bit confused, but the road network of a city is very specific for each city, so it needs a deep understanding and a tuning of the solution for the city. There is not one solution that fits all, and that part is really a major obstacle, because it has to be understood, and you need a reliable partner for that.
I understand. Thank you. Eric, about CityLog, the system has already been deployed?
Yes, it's been deployed in a number of cities around the world by Axis Communications partners. So CityLog is a company of the Axis Communications groups.
Okay.
And we have a number of case studies that we can show at the Axis Communications booth, which is right outside, very close to the Microsoft booth.
Okay, thank you. Thomas, you were talking about very key things like reducing congestion, reduce the number of vehicles in a city, etc., etc. But how can we do to reduce traffic, etc., and at the same time maintain the mobility of the citizens?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think for ITS, you can help having a flow as long as there's still capacity. But in many cities, we have reached a point where we are at the edge of capacity. So you actually need to introduce different choices, as we see that new choices are coming in, but these choices have to be made easily available for the citizens, and also the city has to take more control of these different kind of system. We currently have not really an ecosystem, but more a wild zoo, I would even say, of different options out there, and we need the cities to take back control. And we are a technology provider. We can help the city and the system.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Gilles, data, another key topic. What kind of data are you offering to the city? What kind of data are you collecting and offering to city? And how do benefit from this data?
Okay, you know, data is today it is a big word, so big data. But basically, we can offer whatever the camera see. Now, for the cities today, from starting building the foundation and the maps for autonomous vehicle to navigate and circulate, on top of information to enrich, we call it Know Your City Better. Barcelona is one of the pioneers, by the way, together with the Spanish MOT here, the DGT, of understanding that. So first of all, we are providing safety, reduction of accidents, and reduction of costs. This is very important. That contribute for traffic jam and etc. Second of all the asset mapping for their assets, if to know they are there or not there, and to help them to tackle it in insignificant cost and in real-time information. And all the dynamic behavior, density of cyclists and bicycle and pedestrian, and help them to analyze it and to avoid it.
Okay. And you were talking about camera-equipped cars that collect data. How do you use, how Mobileye use this data to make cities smarter?
Yes. So we are collecting the data from production vehicle that is coming now, BMW and rest, and also we are retrofitting a strategic fleet and partner, such as buses, taxi fleets, ambulances. These vehicles are all the day in the street, saving lives, but also sending all this data to the cloud. We're aggregating the data because the GPS on the vehicle is not accurate. We're talking about 5 to 15 meter. I wish it was 5. And we need to reach to accuracy of 10 centimeters. So everything going to the cloud, anonymized. We bring it back. We do the BI and reach it to 10 centimeters. Then we send it back in many other ways, such as AESRI platform or any GIS platform to many stakeholders.
Okay.
In real time.
Okay. Thank you for the information. Thomas, I come back to you again. The technology that you are considering and developing these days, how do you imagine the future? Is it going to be managed by private companies, by the cities? Who is going to orchestrate all this technology in order to reduce traffic, congestion? How do you see this future?
Yeah, we currently see that there's a lot of private companies actually becoming active. You ask about navigation, so I guess a lot of people would simply use Google Maps for that. Also, Uber is stepping into this field very strongly. But we believe that this field should not be left to private companies alone, but that only a good solution can come in a private public partnership, or even if the public sector in the city is really taking back control of that. And we start seeing this in different cities, and actually a strong pushback from the cities as well.
Okay. Eric, coming back to CityLog and the video that you show us about the bus stop problem, are there other kind of problems that cities are dealing with, unauthorized parking or another kind of problems that they are specifically worried about?
One of the findings we had when we had the early deployments is specific issues with delivery spots. So you have your delivery spot in the city, it's supposed to be reserved. As soon as you have somebody sitting on that delivery spot, then the trucks, they don't pass on the deliveries. They find a way to, they double park, they park somewhere else, and that's, create a lot of problems. So it's one of the big issues, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Gino, to end with the questions, the way to automated mobility and ITS, do you think ITS systems will still be relevant on this way to automated mobility?
Yeah, definitely, I think so. Because if we assume a scenario with a lot of automated vehicles in the road, that the traffic management is still very important. I would say for two main reasons. One is that it's capable of extending the vision of the automated vehicle, because it can tell the vehicle what will happen in the future, okay? Because it can say what will be the color of the traffic light next, or where will build up the congestion, etc. That's one point. The second point is that with this control tower function, we'll be able to distribute the traffic in the network and ensure the reliability of the travel time, which is very key. Because if it is true that we are close to the saturation, it's important that the traffic is very well distributed so that there are no unexpected congestion, but that we can predict how long it takes to reach the destination. So I think the role of the traffic management will be even more important in my opinion.
Time is running out. If you have any question, please don't be shy. We have microphones in the center of the room, and feel free to go and put questions to our panelists. Otherwise, I have a lot of questions. Someone is here. Please.
Hello, thanks for the talk. That was great. My name is Ryan Citron. I'm a senior analyst at Navigant, and we study smart cities and transportation. I'm curious on the business model because cities clearly aren't adopting these technologies fast enough. We see some amazing solutions with traffic analytics and adaptive traffic control, but I can't tell you how many cities I've been in where the traffic lights are just horribly set up and the flow is just awful. Are there any innovative business models that any of you have seen that's helping to get this to go faster? Obviously, traffic has fewer conditions that make it easy to have this go, like smart street lighting, for example. There's a big energy savings component that can fund the project. Smart parking, they can raise revenue from parking fees. But for traffic, some of the benefits you can't quite monetize as clearly or use it to fund the project. So curious if there's any interesting, innovative business models that you've seen that's helping this get going a bit faster.
Mm-hmm. Business model.
I can give you one example. Yesterday evening, we were having a roundtable with the city of Atlanta, and they told us something I didn't know. We've worked with them for a number of years. They told us that the business community downtown Atlanta is actually funding and paying for a lot of smart mobility initiatives because it's a benefit for the business community, for people coming to work, having a better quality of life coming, and being more efficient. So that's one example.
Thank you, Eric, for your point of view.
I want to comment something. There's a lot of there's a lot of startups and very respectable companies such as ourselves. But if you're talking about smart cities, there you are. I don't think the technology exists to absorb this amount of vehicle that coming and increasing every day in the street. The regulator need to step in together with us or with the traffic management system and to filter it. Now, smart city, every day people are immigrating into the city. And like you said, the cities are collapsed. So, okay, we can adjust, we can help a few seconds, a few minutes, but if the regulator won't step in and close street or only shuttles or robotaxis or public transportation, it won't work. It will be, I think it's going to be worse and worse. It has to be more effort from the regulator than this type of companies.
Yeah. Can I also add one consideration? Is, of course, it is a very hot topic, and I think at the end the market will define what will be the successful business model. But there are a few opportunities. One is that I see is an opportunity for the city to be able to sell the reliability of the mobility environment that they are able to create. Because if this has a value for the autonomous mobility or for the mobility as a service, etc., this can be actually a trading opportunity for the city. So to sell the reliability of the mobility environment. Then the other opportunity which is made available by the technologies and the cloud is that many of the functionalities, either the complete management of the traffic management of the city or some of the functionalities can be made available as a service. So we're not requiring the city to make an upfront investment, but just to pay a monthly fee for it, which is also a good opportunity.
We are out of time. I don't know if there is another fast question or we can stay here. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Gino, for all your presentations and your explanations. And thank you for being here with us. And we'll let you continue with this Smart City, Smart Mobility event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.